Welcome to Reporter 247 channel, the place to update the fastest and most accurate news. Recep Tayyip Erdoan was declared the victor in the unprecedented presidential runoff election, in which he had extended his 2 decades in power over his rival Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. Turkey's Supreme Election Authority stated that with 99.43% of the vote counted, Erdogan had 52.14% of the votes, while Kılıçdaroğlu received 47.86%. There was a gap of more than 2 votes between the candidates, meaning that the rest of the uncounted votes would have no effect on the result. Celebrating his victory before the announcement came out, Erdogan stood on top of a bus near his residence in Istanbul, singing a campaign song to his supporters. He exclaimed in admiration of the results of the second round of the presidential elections, "Look at this scene. It's magnificent. Our nation has been extremely supportive, and now the main thing is to remain united and stay true to our goals." With both candidates encouraging high voter turnout, the longtime leader was triumphant again in the polls, receiving an endorsement for his popular political tactics. Coming into power, he had brought numerous changes to the country, including consolidating the power of his office, the detention of opposition figures, and the application of economic programs, prompting many citizens from the areas of Turkey unable to cope with economic difficulties or the aftermath of earthquakes to support him. On the balcony of the presidential palace, he then expressed jubilation on behalf of his supporters and the whole of the country. "We are not the only ones who have won. Turkey has won. Our democracy has won." Additionally, he proudly asserted the nation's economic autonomy despite the growing cost of living crisis caused by his conventions. Shortly before, a number of world leaders expressed their congratulations to the incumbent president of Turkey, Erdogan. The spokesperson for his Justice and Development Party, AKP, Ömer Çelik, stated that, "We will wait for the last vote to be counted." At the headquarters of the Republican People's Party, CHP, in the Turkish capital, Kılıçdaroğlu addressed his supporters, showing no signs of standing down from his position as opposition leader, and said, "In this election, the will of the people to change an authoritarian government has clearly emerged, despite all the pressures. We have experienced the most unfair election process of recent years." He went on to thank the leaders of their alliance, their citizens, and said, "The Republican People's Party and the nation's alliance will continue to struggle with all of their members. We will continue to be the pioneer in this struggle, until real democracy comes to our country. My biggest sadness is the trouble waiting for this country." Erdogan entered the second round of the vote with a higher share of the overall vote than his opponent, Kılıçdaroğlu, having gained 49.5% compared to 44.5%. His AKP party also achieved a majority in parliament, along with their nationalist coalition partners. Despite this, the opposition managed to push Erdogan into the runoff vote, which was a historic moment as it had never been accomplished in the presidential system put in place by Erdogan. However, they were ultimately unable to secure the majority of votes needed to win. Meral Akşener, leader of the opposition İyi Good Party, urged that despite the election results, no one should give up or feel discouraged. Instead, she encouraged that those who support democracy should keep in mind that elections are a fundamental pillar of a democratic society. Changing the strategy mid-campaign, Erdogan focused on vouching for his ability to sort out the nation's economic crisis. Malaya Karabakh, a resident of the Kahramanmaraş region, where earthquakes originated and that Erdogan won comfortably albeit severe criticism of his response to the natural disasters, conveyed her appreciation for her leader's response. However, outside of the usual strongholds of the CHP on the Aegean coast and in urban areas, constituents specified that they were not convinced by the opposition's campaign. Political analyst Evren Balta from the Özyeğin University claimed the government frequently communicates their belief that due to Erdogan's leadership, the nation has prospered despite the current economic distress, and that only he can restore Turkey from its time of trouble. Kılıçdaroğlu and his choirs called for the voting population's assistance in the second vote, urging their supporters to show up in response to mounting anxieties among the opposition regarding the security of the vote and the vote count. CHP officials raised worries that attacks on their election observers in the southeastern Şanlıurfa and in Istanbul producing a broken rib injury were attempts at influencing the voting process. Prior to the second round, the ultranationalist Victory Party gave endorsement to both parties. Sinan Ogun, the Victory presidential nominee, gathered nearly 5% of the votes in the first round. Subsequently, Ogun backed Erdogan while Ümit Özdağ, the head of Victory, backed Kılıçdaroğlu. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with the latest news. Goodbye.